Hi, how we doing today? Exhale, breathe, family. This your girl Shantae, and I'm had a few things on my mind today. Um, I've said before that um, this journey of healing that I've been on is personal and intentional. Um, and with that being said, um, I want to talk about forgiveness. I know that a lot of times people tell us that forgiveness is for us and not the other person, right? And as time has went on, life has went on, things has happened. One of the biggest things that I had to learn, and it was a challenge, and it sometimes it still can be a challenge, is that I get that the forgiveness is for us, but sometimes, and maybe more often than not, honestly, if you really think about it, um, it do help the other person. If the person is open and willing to be forgiven and willing to accept forgiveness. Um, and the reason why I'm talking about forgiveness today is because I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and she went through a traumatic experience recently. And we was talking, and um my dad and our situation came up in the conversation, and other people came up in the conversation. And I was telling her that it always amazes me when, if I forgive a person, right, for what they did to me, why is it so hard for someone else to forgive them for what they did to me? Nothing they did to them, nothing they did to someone else. But if I forgive a person, why is it such a challenge for someone else to forgive that person? And and so we were just talking about it, and I was telling her that very thing. And of course she was saying that she wasn't ready to forgive um the person that hurt her recently. And I understood that. It's fresh, it's new, who really expected, only God would expected um us to forgive quicker than what we do. But he also understands that we're human. And the fact that we're human, some things gonna take a little longer to forgive. And so for you who haven't heard my story or parts of my story already, or don't know the background to my healing journey, I was molested as a little girl by my biological father for like 4 years, from like 8 to 12. And throughout the years of growing up, getting, seeking help, doing all the things, and thinking that I had forgiven him, different situations would arise, and it would hit me that I wasn't, I hadn't fully forgiven him in the way that I thought I had. And Grant, forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to deal with a person, that you have to talk to a person, that you have to be around a person. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is accepting that this person has caused you hurt, harm, or even danger, right? And accepting that that is who they are and that it has nothing to do with you, and to accept them where they are and give them grace. Because I think a lot of times people think forgiveness is forgiveness, but it's also, I think for me, I believe it's connected to grace. Giving people grace and understanding that they are human, and we a lot of times don't know where that behavior stems from. And so when you are able to see people the way that God sees people, as flawed human beings that was born a sinner, that is going to make mistakes, that is going to do things that's going to hurt someone, then we can forgive easier. And so, again, it took me a minute. It took me a long while to really come to this thought process. Um, because the first person to hurt me was the first person that was supposed to always protect me. And that is what you know, we have in our mind. Um, and so, like I've shared before, um, things would arise and take me back to the place of hurt, pain, and trauma from my father. And so, what he had done naturally, understandably, hurt more than just me, affected more than just me, right? It affected my mother. It affected some of my cousins. It affected some of my aunts and uncles. It affected more than just me. But when you're the person that is in it, that is happening to, of course you don't care about how it affects no one else, because it's happening to you. And so, I went through so as I was talking to my friend about forgiveness, and we was just talking about how, like I said, how it's harder for someone else to forgive a person that has harmed someone else. And then, the story or the saying, keep your family and peep out your relationships, because when you're good, back good with the person, everybody else is mad still. Yeah, that it ties in with that. But at the same time, one of the things that like I taught my children is that because I'm mad at someone doesn't mean you have to be mad at them. Because they did something to me doesn't mean that they would do it to you. So that's not for you to carry. And so, yeah, of course, some people has done things to me where my kids be like, yeah, no, I can't rock with it. But it wasn't just because of what they did towards me. It was a pattern that they seen, that they witnessed. And patterns don't lie. Patterns don't lie. If a person continues to do things and it's the same behavior from person to person, moment to moment, then that's who that person is, and you have to accept that fact. And a lot of times we don't want to. And so I was telling my friend, like, I believe, and I've shared this too before, I believe God took my mother first in order for me to find real forgiveness for my father. And it's so mind boggling, right? Because it's like, really? But think, so here we go. So my mom gets sick end of October, passes November 14th. Big, big weight, right? Big weight, pain, grief. And then my I found out my father got sick and was in a hospital and was given 2 to 3 weeks to live. And that was a shock because I had cut him off. I was done with him. We had a situation where we was into it, and I was just done. I was like, you're done hurting me, you're done abusing me, and you would not abuse no one else that's connected to me, right? So when I got the call about him being sick and in the hospital, I sat in my bed and I battled with it. And I thought, and I kept thinking, like, should I go to the hospital? And I was asking God, like, why should I go? Like, he ain't did nothing but traumatize me, hurt me, cause me pain. And and God had started to reveal to me that he never told us that our parents would be perfect, that our parents wouldn't hurt or harm us. He never said any of that. What he told us to do is honor thy mother and thy father, that our days may be long here on earth. And that kept playing in my mind. Honor your mother and your father. And I sat there and I still battling, even with that playing in my head. And I said, okay, I'm going to be obedient. I'm his only child. I'm going to be obedient and I'm going to go. So I did. And when I got there, he was still talking really well. He was in his right mind, and he was so apologetic. He was so sorry. He was remorseful. And as I'm watching and listening to his apology, his um, um, heartbreak for what he had done and the pain that he had caused, I was just like, wow. All the years, all the times that I have thought that I had forgiven this man, I had not genuinely forgiven him. I had not. And listening and taking it in, and God softening, because a lot of times we have to allow God to help us soften our hearts to those who have harmed us in whatever capacity that they have. We have to allow God to get in there and stir up some things, to loosen some things, so that the forgiveness can happen. And I remember thinking, I need to forgive him so that he can go on to glory, so that he can rest, you know. And he said a lot of things to me that day, and then he knew that his time was coming to an end also. And I know people like, everybody's sorry on their deathbed. Everybody have confessions on their deathbed. So shall it be. Maybe you're right. But it still don't negate the fact that people can be sincere at that final hour, at those last moments of reflecting, of playing back the things that they have done. Because we all want to make it to glory. We all want to see God. We all want to. And we all got to fix what's in us before he punches our clock. And so, I'm like, okay, I forgive you. And I wanted to. I genuinely wanted to. And I felt the softening of my heart towards my dad. I left the hospital that day, and I mean, it was just on my brain so heavy. And he gave me some instructions. My dad gave me some instructions. I did that. I went back the next day. He was still apologizing. And I'm just like, I really want him to stop. That was my mind. I want him to stop. And I'm talking about this story particularly because this was one of the biggest moments in my life that I needed to heal from and forgive. And it's some more people that I need to forgive that I haven't really found it. So, like I say, this journey is real. It takes time, and it takes time for people that has been traumatized for years and years and years by different individuals. And so you have to go through the process. And so that's what I'm doing. So this is really the first big situation, life event, life trauma that I needed to forgive in order to get to another phase in my life. And it brought me to the moment that I am in now of my own journey of healing. And so that's why I'm talking about this. And you will hear stories about my father throughout my healing journey because he played an intricate part of the pain and the trauma and the things that I endured and a lot of the decisions that I've made as a teenager, as a young adult, as a full grown adult. It shaped me in a way that if I didn't forgive him and if I don't deal with the pain of it, I will never be whole and I will never be able to fulfill my own destiny and purpose that God has for me. Okay. So second day I go, he's apologetic and we talk. And I leave. And again, it's still on my mind. And I went to asking God, like, God, why you take my mama, though? Because I need her right now. Like, I need her for this moment. And of course, God was like, no, you need me. I'm who you need. Lean on me. And we're going to get through this. You will get through this. And I remember receiving the phone call from the hospital maybe 3 or 4 days later saying, you need to come to the hospital. Um, his conditioning, his condition is declining rapidly, and we don't know. We can't say how much more time he has. So I'm like, okay, all right. I got up, I went. I called my cousin that initially called me to let me know about my father. I called my children to let them know in case they wanted to come and say their, final words. And but I made it out there and I was there alone, just him and me. And it's so mind-boggling again because he went from talking clear, very alert to almost a baby state in like a week, literally. So I get there and God had told me to verbally let him know that I had forgiven him. Not only to let him know that I forgave him, to let him know that God had forgiven him and that he can forgive himself so that he can go on and rest. Right? And again, you know, I was just like, okay, all right, God. But the goal is always to be obedient, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it's uncomfortable, we have to learn to be obedient to what God tells us to do because we don't know what that entails when we are obedient. So when I got there, he was still apologizing for the third time. And I said, hey, you're okay. I forgive you. God forgive you. Now it's time for you to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself so you can rest. Because me and God has. He looked at me and he uttered thank you. And by then, my daughter, one of my daughters showed up, my cousin, my uncle showed up, and we all in there were talking and just catching up. And the machines went crazy. Whatever it does when that time is up. And I turned around and my cousin was like, he's leaving. And I was able to breathe. That breath that I was able to breathe released not only me, but him. And he was gone. So at the beginning of this video, I was saying how people always say forgiveness is for you and not for the other person. But that's not always true. That's not always true. That person sometimes need it just as much as you do, so that their spirits and hearts can rest. and so that they can forgive themselves. We all need forgiveness from time to time. We all do. It's a part of life. We're human. We're going to offend people. We're going to do things to people that is not okay, that don't sit well with them, that hurts them, including myself, because I have. But if we learn to forgive and quickly quit taking so long, then life will be better. And not just for us, for others. So as I close today, I want to say thank you all for watching me and continuing to be on this journey with me and loving me through this journey and supporting me through this journey. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Remember, God forgives us all over and over and over again. So we have the capacity to do the same. The word today was, we are created in God's image and likeness. So whatever God was able to do, most of it we can. And forgiveness is one. Let's forgive those have harmed us, hurt us, abused us, mistreated us, downtrodden us, made us feel less than. Let's forgive them so that not only we can be free, and but so that they can be free. And the quicker we do that, the better life will be for us. So again, thank you all for showing up and watching and going back to watch my videos and continuing on this healing journey with me. I hope that I share something that will help someone. Like, share, subscribe, leave comments, leave questions. Um, and I see you on back here on next Sunday. With whatever God puts on my heart to share, talk about, or reveal. Let's continue to exhale and breathe. I love you, and bye for now.